welcome back to Ranking a Soundtrack, and this time it's Jackrabbit 2. I was originally not going to do this follow-up until I had a look at the list of levels and realized that there are actually way fewer songs for me to rank this time than with Jackrabbit 1. So, following the unofficial Aqualung rules of ranking the soundtrack, I will only rank the level themes, not the boss themes or the main theme or anything like that. And just like with the first Jackrabbit, I will also be leaving out the level themes from the Secret Files extra levels. So let's get on with the ranking. At rank 14, Marinated Rabbit. This is the water theme, and it is very atmospheric. I would almost describe it as Donkey Kong Country-ish. But there is a big problem with it, which is the fact that there's no real hook and it's very static, meaning that it doesn't really build up to anything. Now normally that wouldn't actually be a big problem, but considering how energetic the rest of the soundtrack is, it honestly does make it stand out in a bad way. And that's why I had to put it in the bottom of the ranking. At number 13, Dark Groove. This is also very atmospheric, and unlike Marinated Rabbit, this has some drum sections that give it a little bit of extra oomph. It honestly kind of reminds me of the Battleship theme from the first Jackrabbit, though not quite as doomy, and like I said, because the rest of the tracks have so much more energy, these slower ones just don't really stand out. At number 12, Hippie Heaven. This has very nice groovy guitars and a sharp organ, and a really pleasant hoppy energy. It really goes hard with that trippy, hippie energy that it's trying to have. But my biggest problem for this song is that it just kind of noodles in place. It never has kind of melodic highs, and because of that, it's just not super interesting. At number 11, Colonius. This one does have decent instruments, and I do like that high-pitched synth on this one, and it even has a nice callback section. But like a lot of the songs on this part of the ranking, it just kind of noodles in place for most of the track, and that's the reason I can't really let it into the top 10, even though it is easily the best of the tracks that I've ranked thus far. At number 10, Jungle Fever. Now this one feels a little bit dicey. I do like the chants and the beat, even though they might be a little bit problematic. But it has a lot more character than Colonius, and that's why I have to rank it above it. However, I'm not gonna put it much higher. As much as I do like the beat to this one, it never really does go anywhere. It kinda drums in place just like a lot of the other tracks on this half of the ranking. At number 9, Castle, which is the level 1 theme. Now this one has some very nice dancing synth chords. I really like the melody of this. It's really nice to listen to, but honestly, I think it's a little too laid back. Even for a level 1 theme, I would really expect there to be a little bit more oomph to it overall, considering how good the first game's first level theme was. Speaking of which, at number 8, the Damenus remix. Now, this one is the least different of the remixes from the tracks that were borrowed from Jackrabbit 1. It's really just more of a cleaner version of the original. And don't get me wrong, it sounds very pleasant. Its main improvement over the original version is the fact that it doesn't drag quite as heavily as the original, which, don't get me wrong, I still like the original Damenus quite a bit. But like I said, it's the least different, so I don't really get what's the point of having this kind of a version of it. The main thing that I feel is kind of misleading is the title. It's not really a remix, it's just a rearrangement of the original track. At number 7, Hell Freezes Over. Now, this is basically just a much darker ice theme, and again, I have to say the same positive as with Jazz 1's ice theme is the fact that it doesn't sound very Christmassy. In fact, it has quite a gloomy and doomy energy. Those drums and the synths are awesome. This again feels a lot like Donkey Kong Country in a good way. really has a lot of character, and that's why I have to rank it above Damenus for being such a good original track. At number 6, it's Beach Bunny, which is the beach theme, obviously. This one has great steel drum sounds and a really fun calypso vibe. I get in an instant good mood listening to this one. The only negative for this one, however, is the intro. Those whistles at the start are a little bit grating and cartoony. I think the song could have done without them. At number 5, it's the Tube Electric remix. Now, this is mostly the same song as the original, but it does have these really fun voice samples thrown in to amp up the energy a little bit.
Are you ready?
It's very similar to Damenus remix in the sense that it doesn't really feel like a remix, although at least this time they actually added some new elements to it. But they did do one huge mistake. They removed the breakdown section, which is my favorite part of the original Tube Electric theme. And that instantly makes this way less cool. But, you know, it is still my favorite song from the original Jazz Jackrabbit. Obviously, it was going to make it into the top 5, but I am gonna have to deduct it quite a few points for the missing breakdown section. I still do like this a lot. At number 4, Medieval Jam, which is the Medieval remix. Now this is already slightly better than the original simply because it gets right to the core of the melody. It doesn't make you wait for it as long as the original, which was my biggest gripe for that song, even though I do actually like the Medieval theme quite a bit. Also, it's very rapid. It is way more energetic than the original version, and those synth sounds are fantastic. This is a really big glow-up of the original theme. And my only criticism, and really this is a minor one, is the fact that I feel the end of the melody cycle is just kinda so-and-so. I was really expecting something a little bit more explosive and dramatic, especially considering this is Medieval, but still really good. Number 3, Jazz Be Damned, the final level theme, and the only metal track on this soundtrack. Well, okay, maybe metal adjacent because the electric guitar isn't the lead instrument, it's just the backup. But those synths are amazing. There's a great drive to this song. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of a Mega Man X soundtrack, especially the finish part. Really solid overall, that's why it gets all the way to the top 3. At number 2, Caratus. This has really nice energetic synths and horn sections, and an excellent follow-through on the melody. There's really nice development and accompaniment all the way through the various parts. This is easily one of the fullest songs on this entire soundtrack, and that's the reason why I have to put it this far up the ranking. It is just such a solid track. None of the other ones really compare, but there is still one track that is my personal favorite from the entire soundtrack, and that one, of course, is number 1, Lab Rat. First of all, the intro. I love that ominous build-up, and I also love how the percussion just kind of fades in and out at willy-nilly, and I've been already praising the synths on the soundtrack a lot, but here they are at their absolute finest. First they start off really spooky, and then they go in a little bit of a funky direction. And then the breakdown section at the end is so good, and I love just how smoothly it leads back into the main melody section. This song is just super popping, but never in a distracting way. Easily my favorite background theme from the entire soundtrack. And that was the ranking. Now let me know what are your favorite tracks from the Jazz Jackrabbit 2 soundtrack in the comments down below. I'm TheHande. See you on the next one.